No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, sure, I can hear you.
Okay. So here we go. We need to add marker. User defined functions. Okay. So here we go. To define a function, there is a keyword called def. Define a function, and then we pass the name. Let's do a markup something like here. It's like we use def, then we give the name of the function, then we use these two brackets, and after we like put these semicolons, and right here it's like the body uh, body of function. Okay, and there is another way to do this, like name of the function, and then like this, and the name of the parameter we want to give inside this, and these could be like as many as we want. This is like the really basic structure of how the functions really look like. Oh my goodness. Oh, I had backtick. Probably backtick. Uh, I don't know. Later on, I will see how to make this in code. It should be using backticks. Anyways, we later on will fix this thing, but that's how we do this. So right here, function name is like merge names. uh, we can do this names, and then we can parse like the first underscore and second underscore and then we can do something like this, right?
Yeah, okay, I can see now.
And then what we can do is we are like, okay, full, and n means full name. We are like first name plus, give a space between that, and after that plus second name. This function is just to merge the first and the second name of the user, and then we can return full name, or maybe we can just print that for now to make it a bit simple, this thing, and I defined this thing. So in my case, I needed to I had many names through which I had actually two lists basically. Let's create two lists. It's like first is equals to maybe John, and it's like Ellie, and it's like
Yeah, so what
Lisa.
one question I wanted to ask was
Mm.
in the variable full underscore n in the
Hmm.
last line of code, could you not have used commas instead of the plus sign?
Mm. That's a nice question, but
I'm
inside
just
prints,
curious.
yeah,
Just curious.
that's a good question.
No, no, not in, yeah,
I'm
not in
just
the
trying to
print.
give you an example
Okay.
to make you understand this. Inside print statement, I can do this. I'm like Ollie, and after that I can put a comma, and I can put what is like
Can use
SHH.
John. Yes, sure.
SHH, okay? If I print this out, you will see like this is one
Yeah.
thing. But if I go to, if it will allow me to go to this thing, what this print statement does, like if I can double click and open it in a new page or something. Come on. Anyways, just let's deep dive into this thing. How does this return something? So this is the function print, and it takes like as many values as you pass to it, and after that what it really does, oh, we have different payloads. This is also the thing, values. I don't know what it really returns. We don't have any clue. But the thing here is what you were referring to, something like this. We can put comma. Yeah, we can do this, but inside the print function, because print function has the property that you can add as many values as you can, and it will just merge all of them, like maybe join all of them and print them out. But if you talk about a string, let's say this is string. Oh, okay, and you want to merge another string which is like again like a algebra in capital. Okay, if I run this thing, maybe I will get error. Oh, I'll not get error because this is like the Jupyter notebook. But if I run this in CMD, yeah, please open this. If I do Python, and now if I do Ollie, and after that I give a space, and if I do ALI, maybe I'll get error. I'm not getting error. I'm certainly not. Okay.
You didn't put a space though.
Oh, I kind of added that space, but it's just it's automatically merging that thing. But my problem was a bit different. Your question was right, but to concatenate two strings,
Yeah.
maybe we need to. Maybe this is not a good way to explain this. A is equals to this, and B is equals to this. So in our case, our names are stored in A and B. And to merge them, yeah, if I enter that A comma B in print, it will automatically kind of I need to run this. It will automatically kind of concatenate that with the space, because after comma it just gives a space. But if I'm like I need to use them somewhere else, use add A and B in a kind of dictionary or something. So, and I need to merge these names. So for that I can't do A comma B. It will do something like this, right? If you see it, packed it into a kind of tuple or something, these two values. So for that I need to enter a plus to kind of concatenate or join these two names, and that's what it did. And right here you can see I passed something like this. I'm like add a string. Maybe I can do this. C is equals to a empty kind of this thing, and I'm like A plus C then plus B. This will do what I really wanted to do. Like, did you got the question? Did you got the difference here?
Yeah.
A,
But
C, and B. That's what it does when I pass something in print function. It automatically, iterates, loops through them, and joins them by giving a space at each comma or something. But if I need to, I have a dictionary and I need to take the first name and the second name and put against a customer ID, I need to add the full name. So for that I need to concatenate that like this.
okay.
Inside print function, yeah, we can do with comma, but to merge strings, that's the hardcore kind of thing which we need to do, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm like passing it to functions because I have this huge list. Let's suppose the list is like really huge. Abraham, and I don't know, B double. Let's go with Z double I. It's his first name and last name, and I'm like, okay, what we can do is like I need to use for loop here in order to do. But let's try this with just simple thing. I'm like, first is maybe John, and next is Obama. Okay, yeah. What this will do, it will just print John Obama, and what it really does is like it concatenates that and prints that. That's pretty much simple. But I'm like, I don't need the print statement. I don't need to print it on the console or the CMD. I need you to return this full name. What this return will, how can this be useful? When I run this function, I can store the result in some kind of variable, which could be like maybe n. Let's suppose for n, and then I can use this n and add this joined name into something. And like, did you got the basic idea of the function, like how I created that? So next time, each time I don't need to enter all this stuff. I just need to write the name of the step, give first name and second name. So I got rid of like this kind of a bit like bad syntax or something which was not good to write again and again. I created a function which does the same job just by entering these stuff, and I can really automate that stuff by using a for loop. For I in, I can zip this first and second, and let me show you how this zip function works. Do you have any idea about this zip function?
No, I've never used it.
Zip. Try to. I guess we need to see that in F and S. Let's print this. F and S. Here you will see how it really works. Let's just do one thing, I. For right now, just let's do I. And see what it did. It kind of packs both of them, but it's like, okay, give me the first value of from this list and first value with this list, and it kind of packs them into one thing and gives me. So by using this zip function, I can iterate through two different lists at the same time, or three or four or five or six or anything at the same time, uh, so it's something like this.
I
and
understand it's quite simple.
and inside the zip I can even do like F and S to zip them, and after that unpack them, like unzip them. Like in F, John would be stored in F and Ibrahim would be stored in S. So if I do like right here, if I do something like I apply that same function, and I'm like n is merge names, and I pass F and S, and after that what I do is like print n. It's like completely kind of automated, like John that blah blah. So it was what it was taking. It was zipping these two lists like as they have the same length. So first element gets zipped with the first element of second list, and same goes for the rest of them. And we kind of really unpack them here, and then we pass these F and S, first and last name, to this merge name function. It returns us the merged name, then we print them right here. So that's how we create functions. Like, I guess like the basic concept was how can we create functions, and how can we return value of whatever we have calculated. Like, any kind of doubts or
How can we print functions? Is that what you said?
sorry, go again.
You said, how can we return value? But what you said before that, I didn't quite get.
Before that I was talking about this thing. I'm like,
Yeah,
yeah, we printed the result which was
yeah,
calculated by
yeah.
this function. That's what I said. But I was like right here, I was like, yeah, we learned how to create custom functions, and we also learned how to return something out from that function,
Hmm?
and later on use that. If I don't use this thing, you will see here, if it's like this, and as here I was doing something like this, I will never get anything inside n. If I do n here, it should be empty or something like that. It's nothing, because this function is not returning me anything. And the good and the bad not the good thing and the bad thing is,
Mm-hmm.
even this ful name is like nothing. I can't even access this because that's inside the function, and that's not available to us. To just make that available, I use that return me this thing, and I can store that in n, and I can then use that. Like, did you got the concept? What I really meant by return, we are just making something available outside the function.
Outside function. I see.
We are just returning this. I'm like, do this calculation. After doing this, just return me this thing. Like, I call this function, and this function will return me something. And what that thing is, this full underscore n, full name.
Got it.
Okay, calling a function, that's how we call it. I guess that's clear, right?
Yeah.
Arguments. Oh yeah, we already talked about arguments.
Yeah,
These
they are
are
what goes in the commas most of the time.
Hmm. Yeah. So at the time of creating function, these are known as parameters. At the time of calling them, these are known as arguments. Here we
Mm,
passed two arguments, that was John and Obama. While creating this function, we had two parameters. First parameter was first underscore n, second was second underscore n. That's how we do that. We can parse certain things inside the function, and we can again, get something out of that function just using this return thing. And here they are just, from a function perspective, a parameter is a variable listed inside the parenthesis in the function definition. So parameter is this. When we are defining the function, whatever is inside these round brackets, that's called parameter. An argument is the value that is sent to the function when
into the
it's
function,
called.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so these two are arguments. And number of arguments, here we have two number of arguments, parameters, and this function expects like two arguments and gets two arguments. Okay, that's kind of, while calling it expects two arguments, and that's what they really mean. But at the time of defining this function, we created two parameters, and at the time of calling this function, it expects two arguments, and that's here. And yeah, if it's expecting two arguments, if we enter one, it will throw up an error. It will yell at us that give me the second one too. And yeah, that is arbitrary arguments. Arbitrary. Okay, that's a tricky part.
So what?
Arbitrary.
Arbitrary? No, I have never heard that before.
It's like
Arbitrary argument.
arbitrary. Yeah, yeah. Sorry for that. Sorry for messing up with English.
Oh no,
Yeah.
no.
It's good to add a heading. I should also. Oh yeah, this is a new file. Okay, got you. So what should be a good example? What's their example all about? Emily, this and this and this. Chal. The youngest child is blah blah blah. Good example. What can be a good example of this? This is all about like when you don't know how many arguments you need to pass to a function, you can define a function with this arbitrary argument kind of technique. You're like def, you're like name of yeah, name of kids, and you don't know how many kids a person has, so you're like just names, and you do this, and then you're like print this, then you're like you have these many kids, many these many kids. And after that you put a comma, and then you do let's do you have following are your kids, following are your kids, and I put names. This same thing. The good thing about this function is you will see right here. Let's first try this thing. This function, merge name, like which was right here, which expected exactly two arguments. I'm like merge names, and if I do something like this, it's telling me it needs first underscore n, which could be anything, second underscore n, it could be anything. I'm like, okay, Emily, and after that triple H, and if I print this, it will return me this. But let's suppose if I don't enter like the second name, it will be like one thing is missing, please enter that thing, and I need to enter that thing. So we had this problem. Like in this case, our problem was we needed to print the name of the kids a person has, and we don't really know, like we are like, it varies, like everyone has different number of kids, or like different kind of like that, something like that. But if I add an aesthetic sign like this star sign before this perimeter, it it the behavior of this thing gets a bit changed. In this thing, I can now add as many names as I want. John, and then many, and then all, like this thing. You will see here it creates a kind of tuple. It accepts like as many names or as many values as you want. Like, is it clear? By just putting an static, I can add as many things as I want. But if I remove this thing, it will kind of yell at me. It's like it only takes one positional argument, but four were given. But if I add this static sign, the behavior gets changed. It's like, okay, I'm okay. You can enter any number of arguments as you want. Like, is it clear?
Yeah. Let's see, we
Mm-hmm.
can enter 10, 20, 20, 40, 80.
Sorry, what did you say?
Saying, let's say we can enter 10, 20, 30, 80, and all that.
Sorry, I didn't got that. What do you really mean by 1020?
You said we can enter
Oh
any
yeah, yeah, any number, like anything we can enter, any kind of thing. But this function could be made a bit useful. We can say that you have we can do a length. As we know, this is a tuple. Like if I add a static and as a like many arguments, this get converted into a tuple, which is like these round brackets, and I can check the length of this thing. I'm like names, and then I'm like you have these much kids, and if I do something like this and if I do this, it's like you have 4 kids. So I entered 4 value, but if I enter like only 3 values, it will like you have 3 kids, because just doing something like this. So these could be useful in some cases where we don't know how many values will the user enter or do we need. So that's all about this static sign, like arbitrary arguments. And yeah, add a static sign, star sign, before the parameter name. Arbitrary arguments are often short-ended to star args in Python documents. So yeah, keyword argument. And yeah, in our this example, let's suppose my name is KARAR and my second name is SAHH, and it returns me Kararsha. But let's suppose I first entered my last name and then entered my first name. It will mess with that. It's like it's just matching that it's just guessing that always and always the first argument would be the first name, but I just entered the I was I was saying just I want to enter my first name first. I don't care what this function is, and it's messing around with that stuff. This is called like the positional argument, that kind of something. But I can, if I want to like enter the last name first, and I want Python to understand that okay, I'm entering this on the first position, but this is my last name. So for that, what I can do this, I can tell Python like I can do a custom kind of thing. Second underscore n is equals to this, and first underscore n is equals to this. This time you will see that it will not mess up like this. It will be really nice garage, because it knows like this sha should be stored in the second one, which is like in my this thing. But the thing is like these things and these things should exactly match like whatever the name you have given while defining the function. Like, am I clear? Or can you hear me?
Hey, sorry, I got a little distracted with something. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
So,
I was just
what was the last question?
my last question was like, do you really get what really
Marriage. Yeah,
happening here?
sure. I got it.
That's cool. We are just
Yeah,
mentioning that this refers to this and this is
yeah.
this, although we're changing the positions I'm entering the last name
Yeah.
at first, but I'm telling that okay, it's last name, it's not the first name,
Yeah.
because right here as we see that if we enter something on the first position, it gets stored in this first
But
name
what I
variable.
see is that you are putting a variable and the output of that variable in the bracket, and it's only outputting the output. It's not outputting the variables because the variables are not strings.
Right here.
Yeah, yeah.
Ooh.
Because it didn't output second and first, and
Okay,
it
let me
only
go.
outputted sha and kara.
Let me go again. What I really was referring to, I was like karar and then sha.
Yeah,
This will how this will. Let me open that annotation kind of thing. So this first thing will go up here and get stored in this thing. This will go here and will get in this thing.
yeah,
And how does Python knows that I need this to store in this? It is referring to words like positional arguments. It's like on
yeah,
first position, it should go here, and the second argument by what do we say? It makes sense to make this first one store in this first one and the second one in the second one. Go in the positional kind of way. But I was like, I don't want to do like this. I'm like, I first want to enter my last name and then I want to enter my first name. That was my problem. I was like, no, I don't know. I just want something like this. I want to first enter my last name. But
yeah.
by this, Python will be like, oh, this is your first name and this is your last name. It will go here. Like this thing will go here and get stored in this, and it will be get concatenated like this. But we had a solution. In generally by default, this is like the positional argument kind of technique, but there is another one which is called as keyword arguments. We give the key and the value of that kind of argument too. So I'm like, this is second underscore n and its value is this, and this is first underscore n and its value is this. But you were saying it's not printing this thing. It will
Yeah, I
not print
know.
this thing. Yeah, it will
Yeah,
not print this thing. It's just saying this SHA string should be stored in this variable, and this variable will again refer to this thing, and this thing is used here in
Raj.
this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
Mm. I got it. I got it.
So after that, arbitrary keyword arguments. What this really is? We managed the static sign. What is this double static? Oh, by the way, like it's 11. Like, shall I continue or like do you have time?
That is it.
Sorry, what did you say?
I was checking the time. Yeah, how much more do we have on the time
Oh, how
on
much I do
your,
have? Like maybe I can give you more 15 minutes or spare more 15 minutes.
no, I mean, what time does this Zoom thing,
Oh,
uh,
how much time is left?
yeah, left?
I really don't know. Mm,
I think it doesn't warn us until it's like 10 minutes. Yeah,
11:35, and we
so
have 40
that's,
minutes, so maybe we have 10 more minutes. I guess so, if I'm not wrong. 30 and 40. Yeah, exactly 10 more minutes.
okay. Yeah, we can just do that 10 minutes.
Oh, so for 10
So we
minutes I
don't
can like
waste.
continue, right?
Well, maybe 5 minutes because otherwise it's going to cut us off without,
Okay, for sure. So,
yeah.
what's next? Arbitrary keyword arguments. If you do not know how many keyword argument that will be passed into your function, add to a static sign. So, what was singular static sign? If you don't know how many arguments that will be passed into your function, add a static before the parameter name in the function. This way function will receive a tuple of arguments and you can access, oh yeah, we have 10 minutes, and can access the item accordingly. But what is this double static? if you don't know how many keyword argument that will be passed into your function, add two statics before the parameter name in the function. This way the function will receive a dictionary. Okay, dictionary of arguments and can access the item accordingly. Okay, got you. So the difference is by a static thing, if I also print names here and if I run this, you will see it packs them into a tuple, right? Are you with me? Like
Yeah, I'm
this
here.
thing?
Yeah.
In this kind of technique, when I put like single asterisk sign, it kind of groups them into a tuple. But as soon as I will put double asterisk signs, what it will do, it will it will pack them as a dictionary. Like while calling this function name of kids, I need to do like first underscore kid, and if I do equals to early and I do second second kid, and I'm like it's John, and so on. If I do something like this, it will pack that into a kind of dictionary. Like, do you see here? And the key there is this thing, the variable name, and the value is this string. Like, do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So right here, I was doing the same thing. I was passing Ali, John, and many, but this time it was packing into a tuple, and I was just using a single. Static sign. But when I use double static sign with the same function, it packs that into a dictionary. But the difference is I also need to give these keyword arguments. I need to give the variable name and that thing, a variable name and that thing, and that gets converted into a dictionary kind of thing.
Got it.
I guess for
Okay.
function,
Yeah. We have
yeah.
7 minutes. Okay.
Like default parameter. Oh yeah, default parameters. That's a good. Static. Come on. Default parameter. So in function we can pass default parameters too. What this really means is if the let's take our previous example of those name concatenation thing. Yeah, this thing. So this was our function, right? Maybe this. Come on. Yeah, this thing was our function. But right here, if I call this without, come on guys, without passing anything inside the brackets, I will get error. It's like two required arguments are missing. That's like first and second number. But I'm like, let's suppose if a user didn't want to enter their first name and last name and just wanted to continue the application or something. For that case, I can give default values inside my parameters. I'm like, first name is equals to unknown, unknown, and second name is also equals to unknown. So but this, if the user will not enter anything, this function will use the default values and it will give me the result. But this, my application will not get crashed, but it will also indicate something like this, like unknown and unknown. Like, you got this? But if I will enter some kind of names like this, and I don't know, second name, that's like XYZ, and by this it will do something like this. So it will work no matter what, if you enter or if you don't enter that stuff. But yeah, another good thing, if I don't enter the last name, then it will again use that default last name.
Oh, I see.
So that's how we do this. But if you are like, oh, this is my second name, you just give a positional argument. So but this thing, it will take the first name as the default name. So it's good thing to pass default values, but it's not always mandatory to pass them. But yeah, we have a way to do the, oh yeah, I'm from this country, Sweden, India, and if we don't pass anything, it will always say I'm from Norway.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yep. Oh yeah, we can pass a list, and inside the function we can loop through that stuff. We can do something. Return values we discussed in the starting. We can do some kind of calculation, return that right here. If I'll run this, what it will do, it will multiply this 3 with 5, 5 with 5, 9 with 5, because this 3 will go and get stored in this x, and this x gets multiplied by this, and it returns me something. And instead of this function, this code, the result will be get replaced in backend, and Python will display the result. Pass statement. Oh, I guess you already know about this pass statement.
Pass. Definition can be empty, but for some reason, fiction, content, putting the password to avoid getting an error.
Makes sense? Or
yeah, I understand that. Let's just use it quickly. Yeah.
Yeah, if you are like, oh, I need this function, I need to calculate the percentage of the student, PRC, and the percentage of student, but I don't know, like in which, like there was a corona kind of thing, and they were using some other kind of technique to calculate the percentage using previous grades, and then making up a result that reflects their previous grades and that stuff to because everyone was having bad grades. So you can just add pass, and later on add the code inside this function. But if you don't put pass, it will give you an error. It will be like you need to put something inside that to make it to just make it like fill something inside something. That's just used. Pass keyword is just used there. Recursion, well, it's not really used in machine learning, data analysis, and that stuff, but it's a kind of really tricky thing. It's like we have a function, and inside that function, again, that previous function is called. That's really tricky, and but let's try this thing. Oh, 1 minute is left, but let's just see.
Yeah.
Try to see if we can do something. I don't know. Like, see, this is like try recursion function, and if statement, and inside that thing, this function is called inside its own body. So that's called recursion. It means calling something inside its own thing, and that's a really kind of tricky topic. We need some kind of visualization to judge or see how this really works, but maybe in next session we can discuss about this. But in generally, it's just like calling a function inside a function. It's on
Need to stop before it costs us off.
Oh yeah. So yeah. I guess that's it for today.
Thank you. Good one. Please send me the link of the recording.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna upload that on YouTube. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I would like definitely to watch today's recordings over again.
Cool. I also gonna upload the code too, so you can